Anime today is almost guaranteed to get a second season, but what about the ones who don't get that? Should you watch them? Do they deserve a second season? Well, that's what we're going to discuss on One Season Run. This episode being Classroom of the Elite.
I took a wipe as a storm plus that little bitch got a throat. Fuck, I like to rock it on misfit. My emo bitch like a wrist.
Alright, so this episode's on Classroom of the Elite, and like all my other episodes, I'm going to tell you what it's about, my kind of history with this series, and also saying things I like about it and things I don't like about it, as well if it is going to get a season and if it deserves a second season. So yeah. So Classroom of the Elite, I didn't read the synopsis when I started watching this series. It was just this was a recommended series to watch from a commenter who commented this on my last episode, the one with No Game No Life. So from my understanding, Classroom of the Elite is about this high school that the 1% of Japan, the top 1%, the very rich and powerful, go to, and basically anyone who goes to this high school is guaranteed to get the job or go into the college that they want to if they go to this high school, because it has such a high success rate and things like that. So the kind of main story follows this character called Aino Koji, which he is put in class 1D, which is the lowest class as well as the least respected class, as you could tell. So it follows two main characters, really, that being Horikita and Aino Koji. Like I said, Horikita is basically, she is the sister to the student council president, and she is someone who thinks they deserve to be in class 1A and feel like she was not discriminated against. She feels like she's out of place in class 1D, as well as she has a lot of problems communicating with others and having friends, since she decides to be by herself a lot. And Aino Koji also has some, I guess, personality flaws, I guess you would say, because the whole idea of class 1D is that the entire class is made of people who are defective and things like that. So it is revealed somewhat in the series early on that Aino Koji is hiding something, that he is smarter than he actually reveals, and he chooses to be kind of invisible by not really saying much, being quiet, as well as not doing as he could, the best he could on tests. He always decides to go 50-50 on every test that he does. So yeah, that's kind of the whole point. The whole point of the series is Aino Koji trying to help Horikita get to class 1A. At least that's the first season, or the overall premise, I guess. And yeah, so my history with this kind of series, basically, it was recommended to me a lot, but I didn't really know what it could be about. And yeah, this is a drama series, which I do like dramas, but I don't regularly watch them. And yeah, so let me get into things I like about this series, right? So Aino Koji, he is the main character, and I do really like his personality and the voice actor, right? And I'll say this again for people who don't know. If there's an anime out there that I watch and it's somewhat old, or even not really old, but if I discover it and it has a dub, I'll probably watch it. I'll probably watch the dub instead of the sub, unless it's like a new series that comes out and the sub is way ahead of it, like newer animes, I guess. So yeah, I watched the dub for this anime, and as well as the other ones, the other series that I reviewed, I watched the dub because I don't know, I have I don't want to read, and I might be multitasking, so it's better to listen than to actually read when I have multiple things going on at the same time. So yeah. So when I talk about the voice acting, I'm going to talk about the kind of dub. So I really like the voice actor for Aino Koji. Aino Koji talks really softly and really quietly, and it matches his personality very well. Someone who doesn't want to stand out, who wants to be invisible, as well as someone who's very kind of lazy. That's what I really like about the voice actor. And a little thing that I noticed, the voice actor for Asta, the dub, is actually in this. He plays Hirata. Basically, he is the kind of class representative. And yeah, I kind of knew about this beforehand because I looked at the kind of things that the voice actor for Asta did before this, and it was pretty interesting hearing him in a different kind of voice or a different kind of role than the normal screaming Asta, which I think he did a really good job portraying in this. So another thing I liked was the character Kushida. Basically, that's the kind of really peppy girl that you see at the beginning who wants to make friends with everyone. I think they did a really good job writing this kind of introduction for her, because yeah, she is really peppy and she really wants to make friends with everyone, but she's really adamant on making friends with the secondary or the main female lead, which is Horikita. Basically, it's kind of this weird feeling that you get when you like listen to the interactions between her and other people, and she does these subtle things to the main character Aino Koji, and kind of tries to manipulate him. Like, she would try to like press her chest against him, or things like she would try to manipulate him by making him feel bad by saying like, oh, so you're saying you won't help me? And she would put on that kind of act. And you know, you might think like an average person kind of watching this would just see that as the kind of cliche that you see in animes, right? But it's like some sort of weird, I don't know what they do, but this weird kind of delivery that they do, and it makes it seem like it's more sinister than it actually is. And then you kind of have this kind of suspicion of this character, because you wouldn't expect this type of character in this kind of like drama show where it's the elite of the elites. You know, you would expect her to act like a kind of rich girl or something, have her motives behind that. And then you get to the part where it's revealed that she has a separate personality, or a split personality. I guess you wouldn't call it a split, since it isn't like two different people. But it turns out Aino Koji finds out that she's actually this kind of more manipulative person, more sinister, this kind of dark side to her, and her voice changes. And I'm pretty sure, I didn't look this up, but I'm pretty sure she is the voice actor for Philo for Shield Hero. So it is interesting to have this. She has a pretty good range from high to low, and it is very well done. So yeah, it was just really interesting to see that kind of things. And when Aino Koji actually finds out, she actually threatens him by saying that if he reveals who she is, she's actually going to accuse him of raping her, or attempted rape, which is a very kind of, it's a big accusation, especially in our time now, with things like Me Too and things like that. So it's culturally relevant, and it's always going to be, because of how severe that kind of crime is. So she's just well written, and it's kind of weird. There is some, like, I guess, little hints saying that she kind of has feelings for Aino, or she's kind of jealous in a way that Horikita is kind of close to him, which is kind of weird. But it is revealed later on that she only does this to kind of make it so people actually like her, because she assumes that people wouldn't like her true personality, which is kind of fair, because she is a very petty person, I think. Also, thing I like in this one, it is similar to No Game No Life, where it is that kind of power fantasy, but in a different way. That kind of power fantasy of being smarter than someone else, outsmarting people and things like that. Aino Koji, it is revealed that he has some sort of a weird past. He was in this kind of institute. It's all visual, and they never really say what it was. And he doesn't like people prying into his life. But we do know that he was in this kind of institute, and he was very gifted, but chose not to use his, intelligence and things like that, right? So it after this he's kind of like forced to. They basically the teacher, his teacher of class 1D forces him to try to advance to the next ranking, which is the only way you could advance a story like this, since the main character does not want to, advance. He wants to stay where he is, so he has that kind of freedom, right? And unlike No Game No Life, I think they do the kind of outsmarting in this one a lot better, since it is stuff that you could realistically see doing, and isn't like, it doesn't stretch your disbelief too much like No Game No Life does. So I think it's better in that regard. And the kind of second half of the season, I don't know, I guess the series, no, I guess season, yeah, it went a different way than I thought it would go. It went to a kind of deserted island where the students had to go there to kind of see if they could survive, and if they, went there and did what they were supposed to, then they would get points, which is a kind of system I didn't talk about before, but I will now. The kind of point system, basically, it's like once a month, the students of each class will get a certain amount of points, and those points will be distributed to each class student in that class, and they will receive money. The first month they got 100,000 yen, which isn't too much. Like, to someone who is from America, you hear 100,000 and you think, wow, that's a lot of money, but not really. Like 100,000 yen is equivalent to like $800 in US dollars, I guess. But this was like using current like calculations. It could have been a little bit more, maybe around 900 or $1,000 dollars. So it isn't too much. It's a little bit more than the standard. No, it's a little bit less than like minimum wage, depending on where you live. So it is a bit of cash, but it isn't like too crazy. But I'm guessing that things in Japan are a lot cheaper, because I don't know, like the main character was able to like buy an entire dinner for like a few 100 yen. So it's kind of weird. But yeah, basically the points are distributed to classes who do well. This includes behavioral, attendance, and how well they do in tests, right? So class 1D obviously doesn't do that, and basically they lose. They don't get points for an entire month, so they're forced to like take all the free stuff and things like that. So the island kind of adventure, or the island kind of test, was a way to kind of like get more points. Which the way that Akano, or not Akano, Aino Koji actually did it was actually really well done. I'm not gonna really spoil it, so because I want you guys to watch it. I think Classroom of the Elite is one of the best kind of these kind of drama shows, these kind of high schools with a ranking system kind of mechanic. I think it's really good. Now let's talk about what I didn't really like. So like halfway through the season, so around episode 6, they started adding quite a bit of ecchi into it. I'm not sure why. They added a little bit more fan service, especially with the kind of I guess beach episode. It really took back from how the story was going, and it was the story was going really strong until that point, and then they kind of just, it felt like a filler episode. I don't know if this was in the light novel or a manga really, because there is a light novel and there is a manga for it, but the manga is not caught up to the anime, so I wouldn't suggest reading it. Plus it isn't even like, it only gets updated a few times a year, so even if you wanted to read it, you're gonna have to wait a bit until it catches up with the anime anyways. But the light novel, I don't know how far it is from the manga or the anime, but I'm pretty sure it'll be a lot farther in. So I didn't really like the fan service. I don't know why it was there. It was kind of out of place in my opinion. Like, I would accept it in other series, because they weren't going for this kind of serious kind of storytelling that Classroom of the Elite was going for. So it was kind of out of place and felt like a lot of filler. And yeah, one thing I don't want it to be like a harem anime, like from what I've seen, like, it's not really a harem in season 1, but if it does get a second season, I read the manga, and it is in the genre, or it has the tag harem to it, and you could see like near the end a lot of different kind of women like the main character Aino Koji, people like Sakura, and what's her name, Kishida, I think, and Horikita. They kind of like him a little bit, so I really don't want the kind of harem to I don't want it to be a harem as well as, I don't think it's gonna be a harem, since the main character isn't really like that in general, since he basically sees people as tools, but you only see this at the end and things like that. So yeah, do I think it's gonna get a second season? I think it will, to be honest. Would I want a second season? Yes. This anime, it was very popular when it came out, I think, and it's very popular now. But it was made in 2017, which by now it's around 2 years later. So I think it is time for like a new season. I think that it will get a second season, and it should be coming out relatively soon if it goes by normal kind of anime kind of wait time. 2 years should be enough for an anime like this. And if it doesn't get a second season, then you can watch Kurogiri season 1 and 2. It's similar, but not really. It has more to do with gambling, but there is that kind of hierarchy and that kind of drama with the kind of elite of Japan. So if you want a series similar to this, you could watch that. It isn't really like similar in the veins of like characters and things like that, but it is somewhat similar. So if you were on like a similar series, then you can go watch it. So with that being said, it's gonna be in the video.